Elspeth Hussey here with 7 Adelaide's afternoon news. Making news this hour, double disruption. Fog, then an Uber strike causes major headaches at Adelaide Airport. Caught on camera, a brazen smash and grab at a Port Road tobacco store. We have exclusive pictures, a man on a plane wing sparking a tarmac emergency. From the north to the south, Adelaide's property boom suburbs revealed. And controversial call, Crows star and showdown antagoniser Josh Rochelle dropped from the side.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News starts now.
Good afternoon. Adelaide Airport travellers have been hit with a double whammy of chaos and confusion. First, thick fog triggered flight delays this morning. Then Uber drivers suddenly walked off the job. Mitchell Sariovsky reports.
Hundreds of travellers arrived here at the airport only to find out that their flights had been delayed. Making matters worse, Uber drivers stopped work, refusing airport pickups.
I'm facing struggle days these days, and the thing is Uber just decreasing the price day by day. It took the commission to 27.5%.
There's lots of other options. I mean, there's buses and there's other rideshare.
This morning's fog rolled in thick and fast, blanketing the city and suburbs. It was slow going on the roads. At the airport, the tarmac and air traffic control building barely visible. Planes couldn't land. Some circled Adelaide for up to 2 hours. 2 turned back, causing long delays. In all, 17 flights were impacted.
They're just sort of publishing delays, but it keeps slipping by a half an hour and then another half an hour and then another half an hour.
The fog's come in. When we left, it was fine, and when we got here, it fogged up.
But the fog lifted by mid-morning. Airlines worked quickly to clear the backlog.
An alleged fraudster who claims he's an undercover spy has been denied bail. Brenton Jarrett is accused of stalking 2 women and offering them fake scholarships on a Foreign Affairs letterhead. One of the offences allegedly occurred at Marion Shopping Centre. The court heard the 51-year-old is a flight risk and has a long history of offending in other states. Jarrett will return to court next February. Police have swooped on a young couple after a chase through the southern suburbs in a stolen car. The BMW had been road spiked at Somerton Park before CCTV later captured it being pursued by multiple patrol cars on Heron Way at Hallett Cove just before midnight. The driver's luck ran out when he turned down a dead-end street.
Extremely dangerous. I've got other drivers on the road, obviously, getting in the way, and especially to come through here down to a quiet little street like this.
A 20-year-old male and his 19-year-old female passenger, both from WA, are now facing a raft of charges. A Hindmarsh tobacco store has been targeted in an early morning smash and grab. As Lauren Rose reports, police are still hunting the suspects, believed to be children.
The 2 young suspects became spooked when an alarm sounded. Wearing hoodies, face masks and gloves, security cameras captured the suspects loitering outside the Port Road business at 3:40 this morning. One of them kicks the door 6 times until he's able to force his way in. Once inside, the pair split up. One makes a beeline for the counter and the other the ATM. They then bolt down the footpath clutching the till and boxes of cigarettes. Police are investigating if the thieves, believed to be children, used this white Camry as a getaway car.
To the offenders, I'd say that they're scumbags and don't come back. I'll deal with you.
It's really quite difficult for small businesses these days with the cost of living to just keep afloat.
Crime scene investigators gathered what evidence they could from the business. Its employees were forced to turn away a steady stream of customers, making just a handful of sales. The suspects got away with a few $100s.
Most services have now resumed at Victor Harbour Hospital after a car ploughed through a front wall. The 4-wheel drive collided with a Tesla on Bay Road before careering into the hospital yesterday morning. Smoke and dust impacted operations of the hospital's theatre, recovery ward and a nearby area. Police haven't ruled out reporting the driver of the Holden Jackaroo, a 61-year-old man from Encounter Bay. Well, 7 News understands the Crows have dropped star forward Josh Rochelle for the last game of the season. The club is said to have lost patience with the 21-year-old who came under fire for his on- and off-field behaviour during Showdown 56.
For the most part, the Crows have publicly thrown their support behind young star Josh Rachele in the last week. Tonight, the club's team selection will tell a very different story. The 21-year-old has divided opinion with his pre-match comments and showdown celebration, suggesting Port Adelaide fans have no teeth. Power chairman David Koch labelled the barb elitist crap and poor shaming. Crows coach Matthew Nicks only yesterday declared Rachele was a big part of the club's future. Now he's dropped the small forward for the club's final game of the season against the Swans on Saturday.
I think that if you can't back up what you're talking about, then I think you deserve to be dropped.
I don't think that's very fair. I think he's done a lot of hard work. He's very much a team player. I don't think it was the right decision.
On one hand, we're telling these players that they're part of the entertainment business, and that's what they need to do. They need to connect with their fans. If it does influence them in a negative way, then you actually have to modify your behaviour.
This is not a hanging offence. This is not a sacking offence. He's a brilliant young talent. He's still young. He's got so much potential. If they force him out of the club, some other club will pick him up and he'll be a very good player. They've got to be very careful about that.
Rachele pulled out of his weekly radio segments this morning. Coincidentally, he's the only Crows player who's been voted into the AFL's Best 22 Under-22 team. We'll have more reaction on the Crows' shock call and all the final team news in 7 News tonight at 6.
A passenger has opened an emergency exit and made his way onto the wing of a Jetstar plane at Melbourne Airport. Aviation editor Blake Johnson has the very latest on this major security breach.
This was an extraordinary airside breach that happened just minutes after the flight from Sydney touched down here in Melbourne. A passenger sitting in the back half of the plane ran up to the overwing exit door, pushed past passengers in the exit row and opened the door, activating the escape slide.
What's wrong with him? He was running on the wing, and then I saw him slide down and holding on to the propeller or the turbine. He was literally just holding on to the turbine.
The Airbus A320's engines had only just wound down. Ground staff doing a remarkable job to de-escalate the tension before police arrived after a few minutes.
He pushed all the passengers aboard, who was sitting next to the emergency door. So he pushed them, forced them out. Few passengers were trying to stop him, but he was too strong for them.
Why the man was so desperate to escape is unclear. Passengers say the man seemed uneasy on board. Some heard him asking for alcohol at 8 a.m. Others think he was vaping on board.
People were screaming at him, stop, stop, stop. It was honestly so confronting, and everyone's just screaming. People are running up and down. There's kids crying.
Federal police arrested the man, alleging aggressive behaviour and breaching aircraft safety protocols. He was then taken to hospital.
Major changes to the National Disability Insurance Scheme are set to pass through Parliament. As Josh Martin reports, the government is looking to save billions of dollars.
Good afternoon. The government wants to reduce spending on the NDIS by $14.4 billion over the next 4 years. The National Disability Insurance Scheme is one of the biggest items in the federal budget. The new laws will cap growth of the scheme at 8% and tighten eligibility requirements for those trying to get on the NDIS. The changes also limit the services that can be claimed. States and territories will also play a bigger role in providing support to disability patients under the new reforms. Earlier in the year, at Senate estimates, it was revealed 1/5 of NDIS funding was being abused by organised crime and dodgy providers to buy alcohol, drugs, extravagant holidays and cars, with the scheme losing up to $4 billion every year at a huge cost to taxpayers. But the Greens and some disability advocates say the changes remove choice and control for participants and have had quite an angry reaction to today's news.
This is a moment of pain, fear and fury for so many disabled people and our families across the country.
It is an endless reform process where the words of continuous improvement are often used in a pretty banal kind of way around the place. This is going to be an ever-evolving set of issues.
The laws have now passed through the Senate and will now go to a vote in the House of Representatives, where the Labor government has a clear majority.
Long-range strike missiles for the Australian Defence Force will soon be manufactured on home soil. A new facility in New South Wales will produce naval strike missiles and joint strike missiles for our F-35A fighter jets.
This is the first time these missiles have been built outside of Norway. The factory will employ approximately 100 people in very high-skill, high-tech work.
$850 million of taxpayer money will be spent on the facility, with construction expected to start later this year. Meantime, the Albanese government is considering giving Ukraine more Bushmasters. Kyiv's military is believed to have used them during the surprise incursion into Russia as it hits back in the conflict. A photo has emerged of one of the armoured vehicles destroyed.
We continue to talk to the Ukrainian government about how we can support their efforts, and those discussions will continue.
Australia has committed 120 Bushmasters to Ukraine and nearly $1 billion worth of support. Well, to some breaking news now, and there's an unfolding emergency in Sydney's west this afternoon where a light plane has crashed just metres from a school. Bill Hogan reports from the scene.
Good afternoon. Well, the plane had only just taken off from Bankstown Airport and it was in the air for less than 10 minutes before something went terribly wrong. The Piper Archer ended up on the edge of Tyrone Park, a suburban oval in the suburb of Bosley Park. The aircraft coming to a rest in a small grove of trees. Witnesses have told us there were 2 people on board and both were able to walk away from the wreckage. One man, believed to be an instructor, had suffered an injury to his nose. Police have cordoned off the northern end of the park near the basketball courts. The crash happened just metres away from Mary Immaculate Catholic Primary School and not long before the end of the school day, where there would have been lots of children and families here for school pickup.
I think the pilots actually deliberately crashed in the trees to protect any children or families that could have been playing. Kids play down here all the time, every afternoon, basketball, soccer. So I honestly think that the pilot saved a bigger accident than what's actually happened.
Now, as you can imagine, this has been a big draw card for locals who are thankful that today they can describe this as a lucky escape rather than an aviation emergency.
Layla Johnson, the New South Wales girl who survived a vicious stabbing attack in the UK, has made her return to school. And she'll have plenty to tell her classmates too, from seeing Taylor Swift perform live to a very special message from a Matilda's superstar. Here's Lucy McLeod.
Well, Layla Johnson is recovering well and excited about her first day back at school. The 11-year-old was exploring London after travelling to see the Matildas at the Olympic Games when she was attacked by a stranger, stabbed multiple times. She underwent surgery, receiving 21 stitches to her face and body. She spoke to us this morning, revealing her idol, Sam Kerr, reached out ahead of her first day back at school today.
I got a message from Sam Kerr the other morning, which is very exciting for me. I'm a big fan of the Matildas and yeah, I think some of them will be pretty jealous. She just told me she hopes I'm getting better and she sends me a big hug from Chelsea.
Layla is the most brave and resilient child I've ever had the privilege of knowing, and I shouldn't be shocked at her determination just to get back to normal.
Despite this horrific attack, Layla Johnson has remained positive the whole time, thanking everyone for their support. A very brave young girl indeed.
Indeed she is. Well, after the break, Adelaide's most profitable suburbs have been revealed, and some of them might surprise you. Up next, we'll tell you where is best to invest. Plus, the grim discovery in the search for a missing tech billionaire, Taylor Swift's message for fans after a failed terror plot, and South Aussies rush to snap up tickets to tonight's mega Powerball jackpot. You're watching 7's Afternoon News live from Adelaide. It was sunny skies in Murray Bridge this morning, a perfect backdrop for Unity College to hold a mini show for its students. They're hard at work preparing for the real thing at the Royal Adelaide show next month, and there's now just 9 sleeps to go. Divers have found the bodies of 5 people in the hull of a super yacht that sank off Sicily. Among them are British tech tycoon Mike Lynch and his 18-year-old daughter. Ashley Mullaney has the latest.
Well, there was very slim hope of finding anyone alive, but that hope was dashed today. Rescue crews working tirelessly searching for these missing passengers, today confirming that they had recovered the body of missing tech tycoon Mike Lynch and his 18-year-old daughter. The Bayesian super yacht sank in the early hours of Monday morning off the coast of Palermo when it was hit by a freak storm. There were 22 people on board at the time. 15 people were rescued from the ocean. It has just been such a slow, painstaking process now searching for these missing passengers because the boat is now 50 metres underwater on its side. They have brought in specialist cave divers in the search, but they can only spend 12 minutes at a time inside the cabin. So 5 people have been found today, 4 bodies recovered. There is a 6th passenger that they are still looking for, and that search will continue tomorrow.
At least 3 people are dead and more than a dozen wounded after a strike on a school in Gaza. The attack, carried out by the Israeli military, also hit a nearby house and flattened buildings. Israel claims a Hamas command and control centre was located within the compound. The White House says Joe Biden has stressed the urgency of reaching a ceasefire deal. Taylor Swift has addressed her fans 2 weeks after cancelling her concerts in Vienna over a failed terrorist plot. She took to Instagram to express her devastation, stating the terror threat filled her with a new sense of fear and a tremendous amount of guilt. She went on to perform at Wembley, ending the Europe leg of her Eras tour. It now returns in October in Miami, Florida. Andrew Tate and his brother have been held in custody for 24 hours after masked police raided their properties in Romania. It's opened up a new investigation into them involving minors. The controversial influencer is currently awaiting trial on charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women. The pair denies the accusations, claiming there's a conspiracy against them. A murder investigation is underway in the northern England city of Bradford after a woman and her 3 children died in a house fire. A man has been arrested. Police say they believe the fire was deliberately lit.
Charred windows and doors tell of a horror story inside a family home north of Manchester, the scene of a suspected murder. Trapped inside the burning house, a young mother and her 3 children, just 1, 5 and 9. A neighbour's security camera captured the moment firefighters rushed to the scene in Bradford.
Woke up to some sirens and then I heard some shouting, so I went to the bedroom window and I seen little flames coming out the door.
I heard a big bang and then I smelled smoke and then ambulances and police officers and stuff were there.
They couldn't reach Briony Galworth in time. The 29-year-old died inside. Her 3 children, Dennisty, Oscar and Aubrey, just 22 months old, were taken to hospital but didn't survive. A 39-year-old man was arrested at the house and taken to hospital with critical injuries.
We believe that the fire was started deliberately and this incident was domestic related. Detectives have launched a murder investigation.
This attack in England coming just a month after 3 children were killed in their Layla Park home in Western Sydney. The father charged with killing his children, accused of locking them inside the home and dousing it with fuel. Murders that shocked Australia. This, yet another domestic violence crime tearing a family and community apart. In London, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
Adelaide's most profitable suburbs have been revealed today. According to a new report by Domain, the average Adelaide seller made a profit of $351,000 last financial year. Vendors in Kernelite Gardens fared best with a staggering return of $1.2 million, and Salisbury Park outperformed other northern suburbs.
It really just goes to show the strength that has been Adelaide's housing market. It's been one of the best performers.
The median profit on a unit sale was $175,000. Speaking of money, Powerball's $100 million jackpot will be drawn tonight in what could be the 3rd largest Australian lottery prize this year. Half of all Aussie adults are expected to buy a ticket. And tonight at 6, we'll tell you what suburb has been dubbed the luckiest in SA. hoping it's mine. I'll rush out and buy one.
Yeah, $100 million. I think the best thing about that, Elle, is that if you won, you would still turn up here the next day because you'd miss us way too much.
We'll see about that, Hazy. You'll know tomorrow. What's coming up?
Let's talk about some footy, and there's a lot going on. We're going to hear from injured power forward Sam Powell-Pepper. He's fresh off a big contract extension. The Strikers land a big fish ahead of BBL 14. All that and plenty more a little bit later on in sport.
Beauty. We'll check in then. Thank you, Hazy. Well, Adelaide is getting a taste of Hollywood. Up next, why Hallett Cove has been transformed into a film set. Overseas, Oprah Winfrey and Bill Clinton throw their support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. Plus, the search for a zoo intruder with a wild tale to tell. And later this hour, how the cost of living crisis is changing our diets. The city's newest five-star hotel has officially opened its doors to guests. The Marriott boasts almost 300 hotel rooms in the historic GPO building on the corner of King William and Franklin Streets. Rates start from $450 a night.
We are seeing the hospitality sector, particularly the accommodation sector, punching above our weight relative to the rest of the country, which is actually seeing more dollars flow.
The luxury hotel is also equipped with an indoor pool, 2 dining spaces and a ballroom. Well, some of the Democrats' biggest hitters have taken to the stage on day 3 of the party's national convention. Bill Clinton fired up the crowd before Vice President candidate Tim Walz told the crowd to never underestimate a public school teacher. Tim Lester reports from Chicago.
Oprah Winfrey telling the crowd when making their choice on November 5th between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, they should choose common sense over nonsense.
And let us choose optimism over cynicism, because that's the best of America. And let us choose inclusion over retribution. Let us choose common sense over nonsense.
But the key speaker for today, the man applying for the job of US Vice President, the Governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz.
The freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall.
Earlier in the day, Donald Trump doing his first outdoor rally since the assassination attempt of July 13th. Behind bulletproof glass, he talked about the Democratic National Convention and some of the comments made last night by the Obamas.
You know, they always say, sure, please stick to policy, don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long, these people. Do I still have to stick to policy?
In one area, Democrats are already claiming a victory of sorts. They say that more than 30 million Americans on either TV or online watched the second day of their convention, more than the Republican convention back in July. The real contest, though, is still 11 weeks away, November 5th, when Americans vote for their next president.
Monash IVF has agreed to pay $56 million, putting an end to a mammoth class action. The settlement follows allegations the fertility giant used inaccurate genetic testing and destroyed potentially viable embryos. Lawyers for the women involved say their clients made life-altering decisions and received unnecessary treatment as a result. A woman has narrowly avoided being attacked by a tiger after climbing in between safety fences at a zoo in the US. The big cat is seen heading straight towards her before she then reaches out to pat it. The tiger lunges towards her and, realising her mistake, she jumps back over the fence and out of harm's way. Local police are now looking for her. Well, Australia's biggest supermarkets have gone head-to-head in the battle to be the best. And for the 7th year in a row, Aldi has come out on top. Here's Consumer Affairs Editor Georgia Holland.
Good afternoon. Well, value for money in the supermarket is one of the main priorities for Australians right now. So where should we be shopping to save? According to a CanStar Blue survey, it's Aldi. The German chain topped the supermarket satisfaction ratings for the 7th consecutive year, scoring 5 stars in the categories of value for money, freshness of produce, deals and specials, and quality of products. Woolworths and IGA managed 4 stars each for overall satisfaction. Coles had the worst result, claiming 3 stars.
It's really important for families to find value for money, and actually we're seeing that loyalty has actually declined year on year. Consumers are switching to different supermarkets, but also shopping across multiple brands. Families are spending on average around 5% more year on year on their grocery spending. A family of 5 actually has increased by 14% year on year. So it's quite a big hit to the back pocket.
Aldi made a big impact to household budgets last year, with customers saving $3.4 billion. And during a cost of living crunch, every saving counts at the checkout.
A Hollywood film, best known for creating the Sharknado series, has taken over a southern suburbs beach. Today, the company was shooting an adaptation of dinosaur fantasy film The Land That Time Forgot on the rocky shore at Hallett Cove.
Seeing as our castaways have just crash landed on an uncharted island and trying to work out how they're going to survive. They've seen their first dinosaur, so everything's a bit hairy for them.
The 7-day shoot wraps up next week and has a very modest budget, just $300,000. Well, time for a quick check of the weather now. Casey joins us in the studio. Casey, there's some extreme heat on the way.
Extreme heat sounds unusual to say at this time of year, Elle, given it's still winter, but it is set to get so hot in northern parts of the state, we're expecting a number of heat records to tumble. Several regional centres are set to soar into the high 30s. Now, the August temperature record for Oodnadatta is 36.5. Tomorrow, the forecast is 38, but that could be beaten again on Saturday with a top of 39. It will result in elevated bushfire risk, and while it can be classed as heatwave conditions, keep in mind it won't be as intense as our summer heat waves. Meanwhile, in the south, we've got some widespread damaging winds on the way from the weekend and into early next week. And this is because of this low pressure system heading our way from the west, and there's some potential for some more wet weather in the southeast from that system too. Elle?
Thank you, Casey. We'll check in again soon. Well, it seems the cost of living is not only tightening our belt, but our waistlines too. Up next, the new report showing takeaway chicken is off Aussie menus. Plus, a fisherman's hair-raising encounter with a great white. Welcome back to 7's Afternoon News, live from our studios here in Hindmarsh. We're getting a taste of spring in Rundle Mall this afternoon to mark this year's Daffodil Day. 11,000 South Australians are diagnosed with cancer every year, so anyone who donates or buys a daffodil will be helping the Cancer Council invest in life-saving research. Well, now let's check with Rosanna on what's coming up at 6.
Thank you very much, Elle. Coming up tonight, all the fallout amid reports Crow star and Showdown antagoniser Josh Rochelli's been dropped for this weekend's season finale, and what the footy experts have to say. Also, exclusive pictures of a tarmac emergency at Melbourne Airport. A passenger opened an exit door and made his way onto the wing of the Jetstar plane. Plus, an urgent warning for travellers, how you could be out of pocket for a simple mistake through third-party booking sites. We'll tell you what to watch out for. Those stories and, of course, so much more coming up in the news tonight at 6.
Great. Thank you, Rosanna. We're about to show you what it's like to go face-to-face with a great white shark. That's exactly what happened to Will Brunker and his diving partner as they were spearfishing off the New South Wales coast.
There's a white shark over here. Right here. White shark. White shark, just over there. Let's get back in the shallows. Go to the shallows. Go gently to the shallows. Oh, that was so epic! That was amazing! What did it do when I saw you? It just came straight towards me, and I had a whole posse of fish with it.
But that wasn't the end of their ordeal. They still had to swim back to their boat. We may be experiencing a cost of living crisis, but that hasn't stopped people signing up for private health insurance. That's helped boost the profit of one of the country's biggest insurers, Medibank. But so too has rising premiums. National business editor Amelia Brace explains.
Medibank Private released its annual results here in Melbourne this morning, and on a whole it was very good news. The private insurer recording a near 60% bump to net profit, banking almost $500 million, and that's largely thanks to an influx of new customers. Around 85,000 have joined Medibank in the past year, most of them foreign students and visa holders.
So we've seen very strong growth in our non-resident business, so overseas students, workers and visitors coming to the market.
It's not just Medibank benefiting from new customers. Data shows there were around 80,000 new sign-ups for private health insurance in the March quarter alone.
That's a substantial increase, especially when you consider the cost of living pressures that are on households at the moment.
That pressure is having an impact though, with 1 in 3 current health fund members shopping around for a better deal.
Well, Australia's cost of living crunch is again affecting how much chicken we eat, declining for the first time in decades. Much of the pullback is from fast food, with McDonald's and KFC both reporting a slump in sales. Lucy McLeod has more.
Good afternoon. Well, you know, the cost of living is hitting hard when some of the cheapest takeaway spots are off the menu. According to new data, both KFC and McDonald's have recorded a drop in sales compared to this time last year. And because of it, the consumption of the most popular protein for Aussies is down for the first time in decades.
I have noticed that it's gone up, but that's, I guess, with the cost of living, unfortunately.
Woolies and stuff is more expensive as well, so it's like you can't really win. Probably spending like $25 on an order here is probably if not the same in Woolies and Coles.
Experts say the cost of living crunch is to blame.
When we eat at home more, it positively influences our health. It also positively influences the budget and also our waistline.
It comes as Australia's biggest producer, Ingham's, is expected to confirm the fall in chicken consumption in its annual report tomorrow. We'll have the full story tonight at 6.
Well, time for sport now. And Hazy, a former Crows coach has come out to bat for Josh Rochelle today. This is really developing, isn't it?
It really is, and there's been a lot of different opinions. The inaugural coach says that perhaps his treatment's been a little bit too harsh.
Interesting. I'm sure a lot of people think that.
Still, it would seem that he's probably going to play in the sample this weekend, so some lessons to be learnt.
Indeed.
Also coming up, Sam Powell-Pepper speaks after signing a long-term deal to stay at Alberton. And the Strikers lock away one of the most promising batsmen in world cricket.
Exclusive new property report. The best and most affordable family-friendly suburbs in Australia revealed. Plus, viral sunscreen trends heading into spring. What works and what to avoid for all skin types. Start with Sunrise.
Together all the time.
Hello again. Power defender Dan Houston will challenge his 5-game ban at the AFL Appeals Board tonight. As it stands, the 27-year-old won't play again this season unless the Power can have it reduced. We'll have the latest on the All-Australians appeal in 7 News at 6. In better news, teammate and fan favourite Sam Powell-Pepper has signed on for another 4 years, keeping him at the club until the end of 2029. Despite a season-ending ACL injury in round 7, the mid-forward, who's described as the club's barometer, looks set for life at Alberton.
Hopefully be a one-club player is pretty special, and a little bit of security as well, knowing that I'm here to 2029.
Powell-Pepper's no stranger to the tribunal himself after a bump on Crow Mark Keane in the pre-season saw him suspended for the opening 4 games of the season. The maturing 26-year-old had his own words of wisdom for Houston.
I had a little chat to him after the game and obviously sent him a few text messages over the past few days, but I said to him, you know, it doesn't define the person you are. You know, these type of things happen in footy.
Forwards Mitch Georgiadis and Todd Marshall are both available for selection this weekend. At West Lakes, the Crows are set to make a bold call, dropping livewire forward Josh Rochelle for Saturday night's Swans clash. Rochelle was front and centre in last week's controversial build-up to the showdown, sledging Power supporters for having no teeth. But inaugural coach Graham Corn says the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
This is not a hanging offence. This is not a sacking offence. He's a brilliant young talent. He's still young. He's got so much potential. If they force him out of the club, some other club will pick him up and he'll be a very good player. They've got to be very careful about that.
Taylor Walker will make his return from eye surgery for the Crows' last game of the year. Well, Swan Joel Amati will be hoping of a repeat performance the last time Sydney played Adelaide, when the key forward slotted 9 goals. It'll be game number 50 for the 24-year-old key forward, who's kicked just 6 goals across his last 7 games.
I think just getting my contest right, and I think I've been able to nullify some of the other team's better defenders as a role as not just being offensively, but defensively as well.
The last time the Swans played the Crows, Amadi was unstoppable, hoping for a repeat performance at the G. Another Richmond Premiership hero has announced his retirement. Marlon Pickett has become the third Tiger this week to hang up the boots.
So it's a fair bit of emotion around this week. So our players can't wait to get out there and train today and almost like let that emotion out. And we can't wait to get out there on Saturday to not only farewell two of our best players to ever play the game in Dylan and Dustin, but really play for a couple of the other boys that are finishing up as well.
Pickett famously debuted in the 2019 Grand Final. Well, in huge signing news, the Adelaide Strikers have secured the signature of exciting English batsman Ollie Pope ahead of BBL 14. With regular captain Ben Stokes injured, Pope is leading England in the first test against Sri Lanka at Old Trafford. The old enemy's pace attack had the tourists in plenty of trouble early.
Boy, what a beauty. Gracious me, that is a fantastic delivery from Mark Wood.
From 3 for 6, the Sri Lankans went on to make 236 in their first innings. England were none for 22 in reply at stumps on day one. Well, one of our most loved Paralympians, Grant Scooter Patterson, feels ready to claim his first gold medal in Paris. A winner of silver and bronze medals in Tokyo, Patterson says he's fitter than he's ever been before.
I know I'm old, I shouldn't say that, but I'm feeling very fit. Been doing some good times in the water. I'm very humble. Not many people in the world, let alone Australia, get to say they represent their country for the amount of times I've done.
The versatile 35-year-old will go for gold in 4 different events. Well, Olympic silver medalist Jack Robinson is back in the water, hunting a maiden world title. The world number 3 made a strong start to the Fiji Pro at Cloudbreak, winning his opening heat. It's the final event before the world title deciding WSL finals in California.
It was good actually at the start. I had a good wave, but I just didn't make it. And then, just trying to search for one the whole heat, and then I ended up getting under priority and just making it happen in the last 6 minutes. So, I knew I had to go.
World number 5 Ethan Ewing also advanced, looking to secure his spot in the elite 5-man WSL finals. Women's world number 3 Molly Picklum won her opening heat. That's our look at sport this afternoon, Elle. There is so much coming up at 7 News at 6. More reaction for Josh Richelli playing in the Sanford this weekend. And, of course, Dan Houston appealing his 5-game ban tonight at the AFL Appeals Board. That will be an interesting scenario.
There'll be a lot of Port fans watching that very closely, particularly if they do go all the way through the finals. He'd be a very valuable asset to have. So no doubt they're hoping that can be reduced. Spot
on. So they wanted 3 games. It looks like that would be pretty far off the mark. If they got it down to 4 games, that would be a big result. It just gives them some sort of chance.
Bit of wriggle room.
Of having Houston
Absolutely.
at the grand final.
Looking forward to that outcome. Thank you, Hazy. Well, our morning fog has given way to a cloudy day across the city. Stay with us. Casey will be back after the break with your latest forecast details.
7 News doesn't just bring you the news.
Heart-stopping pictures of the moment a runaway of 4-wheel drive ploughed into the Victor Harbour Hospital.
This is where news breaks.
So exclusive one-on-one with Carl Chalmers.
Going right to the source.
We strive to ensure you know the complete story.
7 News doesn't just bring you the news.
Heart-stopping pictures of the moment a runaway of 4-wheel drive ploughed into the Victor Harbour Hospital.
This is where news breaks.
So exclusive one-on-one with Carl Chalmers.
Going right to the source.
We strive to ensure you know the complete story.
Good afternoon, Dorian Tassado from the Australian Retirement Trust Traffic Centre. Got a breakdown in Findon Grange Road at Findon Road at the intersection there. Also a crash in Para Hills West on Main North Road near Kesters Road. Boom gates are stuck down in Taparoo. That's on Stratfield Terrace near Charon Drive. Crews on scene for that one. Now that you're up to date, why not awaken your super with Australian Retirement Trust? You could be sitting on a monster. Visit art.com.au. That's the latest Adelaide traffic. Enjoy your Thursday, Arvo. Back to you, Elle.
Thank you, Dorian. Well, zookeepers in Berlin are carefully watching their female giant panda who's due to give birth any day now. Meng Meng is pregnant with twins. The zoo's vets say the 11-year-old mother-to-be is sleeping a lot in preparation for the birth, but they're confident all will go well, considering she gave birth to twin boys in 2019. She's going to be busy indeed. Well, time for the weather now. Casey's back in the studio with us. Casey, it's been a dry and mostly sunny arvo across the city.
It has, Ellen, relatively warm under that sunshine too, with temperatures hovering in the high teens. As we saw earlier, we did start the day under a thick blanket of fog, especially over the city. In the regions, though, mostly clear skies there, but it was a damp and dewy start, and those mostly clear skies remained during the day, making for a beautiful sight along the coast. In the city, the mercury remained in the double digits. We had an overnight low of 10, then a top just shy of 19 degrees, and it is still around 18 degrees now. Elsewhere around the country, 22 degrees in Sydney, 18 in Melbourne, just 10 degrees down in Hobart. A few showers falling there too. And it's starting to get wet and windy over in Perth. That's thanks to a deep low pressure system with associated troughs and fronts, and that'll start to reach us over the weekend, resulting in windy and potentially wet conditions for our south, while a high pressure ridge moving east will drive warm northerly winds across SA, making for that scorching day in the far north tomorrow, with a high chance for winter records to tumble. Temperatures could be as high as 15 degrees above average for this time of year. Cooper Pedy becoming windy with a top of 36, 35 the top for Moomba, Port Augusta windy and 32. Still warmer than average further south, but nothing out of the ordinary. Areas of high cloud could see light showers develop in southern parts, some instability in the air too, so there is a chance for thunderstorms as well. Renmark a shower or two and 27. For Clare, Kadina and Port Lincoln a shower or two and 25. Murray Bridge a shower or two and 26. Victor Harbour shower or two and 24. Higher chance for rainfall though down in the southeast. Mount Gambier looking at showers and 18. And strong winds are forecast about the following coastal areas. For the city, down to 12 up to 24 degrees, the forecast top. Possible shower or two, can't rule out the odd rumble of thunder as well. Then looking at a warm and sunny start to the weekend on Saturday. Elle?
That's what we like to hear. Thank you for that news, Casey. And that's all from 7 Adelaide's afternoon news team. Thanks for your company. Will and Rosanna will have our next bulletin at 6 o'clock. Bye for now.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.